All right, what's up, everyone? I am super stoked to be talking with Charty today. He is a freaking pro. I've just got to know him over the last few weeks here. Him and a good partner of his that has been a part of the Revan Discord for quite a while now reached up and we just started connecting and talking. So, welcome, Charty. I'm so stoked to have you here, and I'd love to hear about what you're building. I know I shared about it on my Discord, and you did vice versa for the Revan channel. So. Again, welcome, and yeah, I'd just love to hear what's been going on in your world.
Hey, Revan. Yeah, it's been awesome getting to know you over the last couple of weeks and connect in so many different ways. I'm glad to be working here with you to discuss our content. We both are in sort of a similar, niche, but do slightly different things. So it's been really awesome to talk. Been in your server too for a little bit now, and you've been in mine, and I think there's, a lot of stuff that we can work on together and benefit both of our members who potentially are looking for a bunch of multitude of different things. And
Yeah,
it's been super awesome so far, man.
I've loved it. I've really loved it. And yeah, just getting to spend a little bit of time over there. It's been very cool. I've seen some things that you've been posting, especially recently. You have a script. Mainly, I think what I saw was trading the 15-minute time frame on, was it NQ
Yes,
or
it is NQ.
yeah. Yeah, which is first of all, very impressive because that's extremely hard. I've been building strategies for quite a while, and it's very hard to get a not only a strategy but a short, like a 15-minute time frame strategy. And it's from what I've seen, I've back tested it for a ways, and it looks very profitable for quite a long time. So that's, again, kudos to you, and for all the members watching, definitely go check that out. But yeah, tell me a bit about that script and even how you got into maybe trading and your whatever you want to share about that script and what you've been
Sure.
building.
Yeah, so originally, again, I started my Discord channel a while ago as just kind of a forum for me and some friends to talk about stock tips, what we were looking at, technical analysis, and even some fundamentals for what we wanted to buy and sell. And it kind of merged and morphed into options trading and some couple of things like that. Eventually, I started getting really into futures trading as for just the way that my brain works, that seems to be the best way for me to trade. It was purely just price. There was no other variables that options have like time decay and volatility. It's simply a matter of trying to buy low and sell high and vice versa. And then the nice nature of futures is the leverage aspect there. So I eventually got to a point where I started developing some of my own strategies that I was using manually, using some indicators that are very commonly used. My favorite, that is really the foundation of this strategy, is the Williams alligator. I think that is the most underrated indicator that's out there and that's pretty readily available to anybody. And it's pretty underused in terms of what I've seen in the space. So I started looking at that and deciding I want to develop a strategy that I can use and follow, that can enable me to have a greater return. And over a couple of months, and which turned into a couple of years, I eventually was able to have a manual strategy that worked pretty well for me. I was doing really well and sharing some of those things in my Discord. And eventually people started asking, how do you know exactly when to buy and sell or get those signals? And my answer was really, I didn't have a perfect way other than me identifying it in real time. So I started to think, this was quite a while ago, and started to think, hey, what if I started working on a script that could identify exactly what I'm thinking of when I am going to enter a trade or when I'm going to go short or go long? I wanted to create something that replicated my decision making as much as possible. As you obviously know, that is incredibly difficult to do.
Yes.
So I've been working on this for a really, really long time. Eventually, or initially, it was okay and it worked somewhat well, but the long term returns weren't great. So it took a long time, and I've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of iterations of this strategy using all sorts of variables from every single setting I can mess with the Williams alligator, adding the VWAP in there, messing with every time frame, and identifying entries and exits. And eventually, in the last couple of weeks and months, I finally have been able to get something that I believe replicates how I would personally trade, and to a certain extent even better because it eliminates a lot of the human error and emotional side of trading. And I've been able to come up with a strategy and a script that has worked incredibly well for members and myself, and even gotten to the point in the last couple of weeks where I've begun automation where I am no longer day to day manually trading the script. It will trade for me, buy when I would buy, sell when I would sell. And so far, it's done really, really well. And obviously, with any strategy, there's ups and downs, highs and lows. But like you were saying, the back testing on it has worked really well. I've tried to create a strategy that works in all market conditions, bullish and bearish. And I've been able to do this by changing the criteria around for when to take longs and shorts based on the current market environment. So, 2025 obviously was a very strong year for the market and NQ as a whole. So obviously, a monkey could create something that made money in 2025. But when I started back testing my
Yeah,
initial
yeah.
strategies,
This one goes back further than that, which that's the impressive thing.
my initial variations of the script didn't work very well past 2025. Even 2024, 23, and especially 2022, it did not do very well when I back tested it. So I started really sitting and saying, okay, I want to create something that maybe sacrifices a little profit in 2025 to do well in all market environments. And after quite literally hundreds and hundreds of iterations of this script, I've been able to come up with something that not only outperforms or does well in bear markets, but it outperforms. So if you look at 2022, that was the best year that this script has ever had, and that was the worst year the markets had in 15 years. So that's been what I've been working on. And for those who have followed me, and you followed it a little bit as well, I've added updates and things to the script. Every couple days, I'm making little changes for things that I'm seeing. Anytime that I see the script take a trade that I wouldn't have taken, I'm going in and saying, all right, I don't want this to have triggered. How can I change the script so that this instance doesn't trigger in the future? And over months and months of this, I've been able to finally get something where most of the time it takes a trade when I would take a trade. But it's gotten to the point too where it also takes trades that are big winners in places that I wouldn't have taken it because it's things that I wouldn't have necessarily seen. So over a
That's
long period of
awesome.
time, I've been able to create something that, again, it's not perfect. There's still things I'm going to continue to flesh out, but it's been working very well, and I've even started implementing some emergency stop losses and certain things that create some of the big fears of automating a trading script where when it's your money on the line, you don't want something that has a big risk of you waking up in the middle of the night and you're down a crazy amount of money. So I've implemented some pretty serious limitations on if there's X amount of losers of X amount over an X amount of time,
Right.
it stops trading until things have calmed down. Just a couple things like that. And it's created some really good back tested results. And so I'm curious to see over the coming months and years how the automation works without me having to do a whole lot. And then also continuing to make some small changes here and there to continue to improve performance. And honestly, a lot of my inspiration too has come from you in the last couple of weeks and our discussions, looking at some of your indicators, giving me some awesome ideas in terms of, oh wow, there's a good signal there that I didn't see until I looked at Revan's indicator. So I'd like to thank you as well
Oh
for
man,
looking at
wow.
some of your content. That's definitely, it's improved my strategy. Just looking at some of the things that your indicators were saying that the broader market was not. So you're to thank as well, and I appreciate it.
Oh
Your
man,
content is
that's very
amazing.
kind.
Some of the things that you have designed are well beyond what I could ever possibly do. So I would love to talk about your stuff as well. I mean, it's pretty incredible. For those who haven't seen Revan's indicators, you got to take a look. I mean,
Man, thank
it
you.
is a work of art, truly.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, as you know, it's just long, long hours working on the same thing over and over and over again, and
Over and
refining and
over.
refining, and there's times that you kind of just want to throw up your hands and
Oh my
quit, and
goodness.
sometimes you need to take a break. But yeah, it's really a lot of dedication in the same direction for a long period of time, and eventually
Yes.
that pays off, man. In life in general, like that's what life is about, and I think a lot of times people are afraid to dedicate time because they think something might fail or what they're working on might fail, but that is really what it takes. So I'm commending you for the work you've done. And if you would like, I'll either post some photos here, or you can, if you want to share your screen and kind of just show the script off, or talk about anything in the market that's going on. Yeah, I would just
Sure.
love to show any of my viewers what you've been building. Because when I saw the equity curve, and yeah, exactly that equity curve right there, I was like, for NQ, like how do you do that? Like that's an insanely hard thing to do, especially minimizing drawdown. Because oftentimes you have to trade one for the other. Like you can get some decent returns, but
Right.
drawdown is really bad, or you have really minimal drawdown, but the returns are also minimal. So this is, yeah, very very impressive to me.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
for anyone watching here, it's yeah, pretty massive. So yeah, very very stoked. And you said that you've been automating it, which is another thing that I think a lot of people are interested in. Myself included, long term, because I found out how to automate any kind of crypto stuff. That's more my area of expertise.
Right.
But are you planning on helping members of the Discord learn how to do those things as well, or what's, I don't know what your thoughts for future are. Yeah, and it might not be, that might not be something that you care about, but
Yeah.
I'm impressed that you've even been able to do that.
Yeah, so that's my long-term goal. I think originally my server was designed to be more of just a forum, but as I've continued to progress on some of these things, I've realized, well, once I've built this, it's optimized for NQ on the 15-minute time frame. I'm not sure if you can see that everyone can see the screen here, but this is the last 12 months of performance in terms of my criteria for the strategy, taking a buy signal when a buy signal is triggered and selling and vice versa. Right now, I have this perfectly optimized for NQ on the 15-minute time frame. If you go to some other things like even ES on or the 5-minute time frames or anything like that, it doesn't work nearly as well because it was optimized here. So the next thing I'm going to be trying to work on is creating scripts that hopefully work somewhat similarly to this across a bunch of different time frames and a bunch of different you know tickers, because the only problem with mass automation is eventually the edge stops to work out if too many people are automating in a certain direction
Totally.
for obvious reasons. So my goal is I want to continue to make these to the best of my ability, and who knows if I'll be able to replicate this across other tickers, but eventually I would love to be getting on board with automating a bunch of different members and helping them begin this journey as well. So right now in my server, I have any member of the server has full access to the script for now, mostly to give me feedback and to test it out. I'm not sure what the long-term plan is in terms of will it be freely accessible forever? Probably not, but for the time being, anyone in the server has access to the script. I am asking people to not automate quite yet. I want, the main point of my server is educational. I want people to understand. And something that I've learned with this script is it's made me a better trader, because when I'm watching the market waiting for a signal to pop, I've begun to really dial in and know exactly when, hey, a long signal's about to pop, because I've been watching this for so long and watching the script for so long. It's actually made me a better trader, seeing and knowing when something's going to happen because I've been watching it so long. And it's actually made me realize, well, at some point, if people are doing this, they won't necessarily even need the script. If they're learning by
Totally.
looking at the chart and saying, okay, there's about to be a long signal based on what I've seen in the past, eventually it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm asking members for now is, hey, use the script, but if you're going to use it, let's not automate it yet. I want you to take a little bit of time to watch and see when buys and sells are triggered, just so you can have an idea of what you're really doing before you're automating and putting your money to work, outside of your control. Now, I have a couple of members that are getting to the point of I'm comfortable, starting to help them jump on the automation train. But I do recommend people trade it manually first for a while before they go down the automation route, because there's a lot of things that are hard to fully understand about futures trading until you've really kind of sank your feet into it a little bit. So that's really what I'm recommending for now. At some point, I would love to have a automation option available to members to automate these strategies and hopefully replicate a lot of these results. A lot of my intention with this was I wanted to make the max equity drawdown as small as possible. I sacrificed a lot of total P&L to make the equity drawdown as low as possible. Uh, it originally was close to $20,000 of max equity drawdown for a really similar P&L, and through a lot of back testing, I've been able to get it now to about a $5,000 max equity drawdown over the last 12 months with a trade-off of $127,710 in profit, which is a lot better than it was originally. If you go to, let me just do this here. If you go to the last 5 years or so, I like to go to the beginning of 2020 because there's been essentially every market environment since then. If you go to beginning of 2020, you can see the max equity drawdown was about $7,200, while the total P&L was about $483,000 over 3,558 trades. I now have a win rate of 63 about 3%, and if you look at the equity curve, I've been able to finally refine it to where there is essentially no substantial drawdowns here. It is pretty much
Very,
straight up
very
equity
impressive.
curve. But that was through a lot of back testing and been able to finally get the bot to the point where it understands if the strategy is on a losing streak of a certain length, then the strategy doesn't work for that period of time. So there are plenty of periods of time in this. I guess this is a 6-year time frame that trades are not taken for quite a bit of time, whether that be a couple of days, or there's even some instances where there's a whole week where there's not a single trade taken because the script has learned to say, the strategy is not working in this current environment. I'm going to wait until things are more favorable to begin trading again. And through a lot of experimentation, I've been able to get it to the point where I'm not sure there's much more I can do to decrease that max equity drawdown without substantially decreasing the P&L. But through this process, I've learned a lot about trading. It's helped me learn that it's not always wise to just trade for the sake of trading. There's a lot of periods of time where you shouldn't trade at all if your edge is not an edge in a certain environment. If you look at some of the biggest drawdowns here, they tend to come in some of these big volatility moments. There's, for example, in March and to May of 2023, there was about a $3,300 drawdown. For those who remember, that was the banking crisis with SVB and some other things during early 2023 where there was some volatility. The strategy performed very poorly relative to the rest of time in that month and a half period. And thus it takes a lot less trades in that month and a half than it normally would in any month and a half period. So it's taught me a lot. And again, if anyone is trying to automate the strategy, I would love to get them set up on that. But at the end of the day, the most important thing to me is I want members and other traders to learn how to trade from this strategy and not necessarily rely on it to just generate them, some passive income without actually understanding what's
Right.
happening.
Yeah, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Automation is. I did
It is.
find at the very beginning of when I was getting into trading, I was like, oh, I just want to automate this. I just want to automate this. But
Right.
the problem is if you don't have the experience, you don't trust the strategy, you don't trust the process. So you're going to end up interfering with the automation and the trade anyway. And that's what I found, not only for me, but for other members who joined and just jumped straight to automating. And I always push for the same thing as well. Like, hey, really get to understand the strategy, what you're trading, maybe even make some of your own adjustments to it over time. So because you have to be able to trust the edge that you're using. And if you don't have the stomach for trading, and that does take the whole process of learning and understanding. And
Right.
yeah,
Absolutely.
you're gonna ruin the statistics anyway by interfering and all that stuff. So I actually, funnily enough, am kind of the pendulum has swung back for me now, where the stuff I'm building, the indicators I'm building, are more for users to use hand trading and otherwise. Yeah, I just find
Absolutely, I
that's
understand.
first of all, it's way more fun because I've done
Oh, yeah.
for cryptos. I've done automated trading for a while, and I'm like, there's like, okay, well, what am I even doing now? Like, this is not fun anymore. I'll just check on the counts and stuff to make sure they're running. And sometimes the other thing with automated trading is sometimes TradingView will have an error, the alert will go down and stuff like that. So
Yes.
if you're not involved with it anyway, like, you're gonna run into problems. And so yeah. Anyway, I kind of have swung back, and now I'm doing way more hand trading than I ever have before, because it's fun and because it's just like, yeah, I think that's what the journey is all about. And if you there's other ways I would just buy and hold if you want to like not look at anything, and I would just
Yeah,
buy and hold because yeah. So the
absolutely. And
process, yeah,
that's no, and that's honestly, it is such a great point because there have been instances where I've even noticed in the last week or so where TradingView will mess up in terms of sending an alert out where, for example, I think this was on Wednesday of this week, a couple days ago. There was 5 or 6 alerts that were sent out, and one of them didn't trigger for some reason through the automation software, and it was a $600 winner. And I checked the next day and said, this was a $600 winner that should have
right,
triggered, and it didn't.
yeah,
Just through no fault of anyone. It was just simply TradingView sometimes when it's getting a
yeah,
lot of signals will
yeah,
mess up.
yeah,
That's just how it is. And I think, man, if I would have been sitting there
totally,
and not doing other things, I would have been able to easily take that trade because it was an obvious trade.
yeah,
But because I automated it, I did lose a little bit. So there's a pro and con. Obviously, automation saves you some time if you really believe in your edge, but it also you're going to sacrifice potentially some profits as well because of things like that. So there's a balance, and I completely agree with you in the sense of it does ruin the fun of it to a certain extent. I mean, there's stipulations on the main countermeasure to big losses on my strategy is in a 24-hour period or a day period, if a certain directional trade loses twice in a row, it will no longer take that direction the rest of the day. So if there's a long trade that loses at 8 a.m. and then a long trade that loses at 11 a.m., the strategy says, I'm not going to take a long trade until tomorrow because it's not working. Well, there's been a lot of instances where that happens, or there's 2 longs in a row or 2 shorts in a row that lose, and the strategy's like, nope, not taking a trade. But I'm watching my computer saying, well, this is actually a really good setup for a
yeah,
long, but
yeah,
the strategy's not going to alert it because I've told it not to. But I recognize this is a great opportunity. I'm going to still manually take a long anyways, and it more often than not has worked out, but the strategy's not going to alert it because it's been conditioned not to. So that's mostly how I am using it as well. It's automated, but I'm also saying, okay, if the strategy is not going to take a trade because I've instructed it not to in this situation, that doesn't mean I can't manually take a trade because I know what the strategy is supposed to do, and I can take a trade in its place because it's not going to take one right now, if that makes sense.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's what I recommend to members as well. Those strategy limitations are designed to protect the trader from those periods where it takes 10 longs in a row and they're all losing because the market's clearly not wanting to go up. It's designed in that way, but it's also leaves some profit on the table. So that's kind of what I'm talking about as well with in limiting the max drawdown, you do sacrifice some of the P&L for reasons like that. But I do think it's more important to protect your capital more than it is to shoot for the moon and just max P&L
totally,
because
100%,
even
yep,
the greatest strategies, if they have a large enough drawdown, can blow up a futures trading account quickly. So that's how I prioritized it. But I also think you're right in I don't know if I ever want to fully have an automated option for members because I want them to actually take something out of it, not see a couple of losers in a row and give up. And there needs to be an
yeah,
understanding of no, the best strategy on earth, that whatever it's out there somewhere, it will have a sizable drawdown at some point. It is mathematically certain. So
yeah,
if you can't weather that, whether through your own trading or through automation, you shouldn't be putting
100%,
your own capital at risk until you understand that.
yeah, that's good. That's great, man. Well, this has been super insightful. I'm stoked for the future where we can we'll do even more of these and kind of keep up as you keep building and I keep building. And
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, man, this has been super fun. This is my
This
first
has
time.
been fun.
I told you at the beginning before we started the stream. This is my first time actually doing a collaboration. So really, at least on stream collaboration. So I'm really stoked. I love building communities too, and that's again, this is what life's about. Like there's a lot of people that have money and trading strategies, but are really miserable. So I feel like having a community alongside you as you're building things and growing is also super important. Yeah, because life is about so much more
Absolutely.
than just all of that. So yeah, again, really stoked about this and for the future. I think we got to wrap up here pretty soon. But do you have any other thoughts or anything else as we go? I think just been a great video.
No, this has been awesome. In terms of what I have, no, I think I've explained most of it. I could get into the nitty-gritty of every little update that I've made with the strategy to improve it over time, and there's probably some value there. But in terms of for the average person watching to gain some insight, I would just recommend to, come join the server to check it out and potentially see if it's something that you'd be interested in. But other than that, I think I would really just love in the future to have some more of these live streams and we can review markets in real time
Heck
and
yeah, that'd be
hopefully
fun.
provide value to viewers. I think that's going to be super beneficial just with we both have incredibly unique perspectives on the market and through different asset classes. I think you have so much information in the crypto space that I have just absolutely no clue about, and I need to have a clue about. That's sort of the future, the way that markets are trending. And the one thing that I've learned is the only constant in the markets is change. So this strategy
Right.
works great now, but in 2026, it could be terrible with how the market changes. So it's all about adapting, and
Yeah.
crypto
Yeah.
is the future in terms of trading and asset classes and valuations and just overall investment in general. And it's something that I need to be focusing more on. And I think you're going to help me be able to do that just tremendously. And I'm super stoked for this partnership.
Oh, well, that's very kind. I am too. It's going to be real interesting to see where things go in the future. I've heard a lot about tokenizing, so many different things, and
Yes.
even going to 24 hours a day trading on some different assets, so it'll be real interesting to see where things go in the near future. But yeah, I love it. I love it, man. I really appreciate you being on today. And yeah, like Charty said, if you are part of this stream or video, you're seeing this and you don't know or have not seen their Discord, I will put the link in the description below, and it's also in my Discord. So just check out Charty's trading Discord, and we'll do more of these in the future.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate it. And again, I've been loving your server as well and the indicators that you have. I still have so much that I need to learn about them and so many things that I've seen that have just blown my mind of how it's tracking a good buy or sell signal when the market has not even begun to show any sign of reversal, but your indicators have. So much to discuss, and I can't wait for my members to really dive into your indicators as well, just because there is just so much value in educational material there that we just can't pass up on.
Oh man, well that's very kind. Yeah, we'll do more of these in the future and look into all that stuff. So that'd be great, man.
Absolutely.
All right, see you later.
Thank you so much.